So let's talk about why the name 4D. Is it some like weird, futuristic, techie kind of thing? No, not exactly. It's actually about the four dimensions of a human. And we're talking about human development, human leadership, human everything that we do with humans. When we're working with human beings, we need to understand how they work. And this concept was new to me. I did leadership for many years and I was trying to figure it out, right? How to always be better. When I worked with a consultant named Pamela Wilhelms with Wilhelm Consulting, I became familiar with what she called the four dimensions. Not new in the world of psychology, but again, new to me. And how she presented it was that we have the physical dimension, the intellectual dimension, the emotional dimension, and the spiritual dimension. A lot of times in the world of psychology or sociology, you're going to hear it called the social dimension. Why does that matter? And why am I passionate enough about that I would call my business 4D after the four dimensions of people? Because it was such a turning point for me. I had led people and understood how to do continuous improvement, lean continuous improvement, all of these technical things very, very well. And yet there was something that I was really missing. I stumbled upon Living Systems accidentally. We knew that we always wanted to work with our frontline employees and that was the key to any continuous improvement project, but we knew it very logically. And we created something accidentally that we only knew later was a living system, meaning that we really developed in the four quadrants of the human, the physical dimension. We were physically doing things, we were physically doing work together. Intellectually, we were physically learning together. We were learning new things, we were discovering new things, we were problem solving together. Emotionally, we became so bonded. There was this team element that was unlike anything I had experienced before. I felt heard. The people working in this group, being led through continuous improvement, we felt heard and important, like our opinions mattered. In that spiritual dimension or social, we felt like we had a greater value beyond just that moment in that time. We felt like we were making a difference. We felt like we had unique purpose as individuals, and each one of us was lending our unique gifts and abilities to that team. Like every morning you woke up realizing you had a lot of work ahead of you, but it was purposeful work. It was hard work. I remember putting in so many hours, and yet it was the most alive moment in my career up to that point. Tapping into the four dimensions of a human makes us what we would call come alive. And that's that living system. It's a whole person's leadership and a whole person's approach. Anytime that I'm working with people, I'm going to work in those four dimensions. And you are a whole person. And as a whole person, I take that into account with any work that I do with a client or any work that I do with a team, any work that I do with a leader. We're going to look at the whole thing, not just, hey, we're growing you intellectually or we're building new skills, things that you can physically do. Those are very important. And having a practical and grounded knowledge about what we're doing is very important to me. So that when somebody goes back into the real world, outside of a coaching session or a workshop, that they have the skills that they need to put this to use. So the physical and intellectual are a very important part of development. But also often neglected are the emotional and the spiritual. The emotional and the spiritual dimensions are that part where we feel a connectedness to that emotional side of us. And it doesn't have to be touchy-feely or anything weird, kumbaya. It's about that human relationship aspect and building a real relationship, a true, vulnerable, authentic relationship with another human being where you can show up fully yourself. You don't have to hide and put a mask on and put a face on and pretend to be something that you're not. You're really able to show up fully and uniquely yourself and feel safe doing so. And in that spiritual or social dimension, it's so important that we grow. How does this relate to like that purpose that I have on this earth? Why was I put here on this earth? And am I fully living into that? Do I have a goal and a plan for my life that goes past today and living just in the now? So I need to know that if I'm going to grow somebody, like, do these skills actually matter in the greater scheme of your life? What are you aiming for? What are you shooting for? What, at the end of your life, do you look back and say, here's the legacy that I left behind, and I'm really proud of that. So 4D comes from a place of tremendous passion for me, leaning into a whole person, making sure that in everything that our center does, every curriculum that we develop, every workshop that we conduct, every coaching session that I have with a client, that I am fully leaned into them as a whole entire person, that they walk away from a session knowing physically what they would go do, like literally how to lead a meeting differently is a physical and intellectual thing, because I know how to carry that out in a way that's tangible. And the emotional and spiritual dimension is about connecting and making sure that the development work really matters, that we're touching on the things that matter to that person and that actually make a difference in that person's life. That's transformational. Now, 4D stands for the 4 human dimensions.